Hey all, I'm really sorry about the random and possibly short video tonight. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if it's just because I've been like singing like crazy lately, or maybe I've been overusing my voice, or maybe it's just my allergies in general, but my throat just feels a little tired, my vocal cords feel a little tired, so I need to keep the talking and craziness to a minimum, because yesterday I was going a little ballistic with my voice. Anyway, I have a few exciting updates about the album and just things in general. So first things first, instead of releasing only 2 singles like I planned to originally, we're now doing 3. Possibly 4. I don't know. I'm kind of looking at the dates. I think we're just going to do 3 singles. We might do 4 as like a last minute thing before the album drops, like a week ahead of time. We'll see. Because right now the album, it expanded a lot, as I mentioned before. Instead of just being 12 tracks, now it's 15. And I know originally I said, oh, no more album updates. You know, we've talked about everything that we need to about the album. But no, you know, this is pretty substantial. You know, you guys are getting like a whole extra song, maybe 2 extra songs before it releases. And the next one will actually be releasing next Friday, which is August 15th. I already posted a snippet of it on my Instagram story. If you'd like to know immediate updates about my album or just stuff like this or behind the scenes stuff for the channel, I definitely recommend following me on Instagram because I post on my story every single day. It is at grotesque and then put IG at the end because somebody already had like the at grotesque username. I want to fight them for it, or maybe just even give them a small loan of $1 million to get it, but you know, we'll see. I'd say that fists talk just as well, if not better, than money does, so you know, I'll get that handle back one day. But anyway, yeah, it's at grotesque IG if you'd like to follow me and just see this stuff immediately. The single is called Memories. It's already available to pre-save on Spotify, however, it's not available on the other stuff yet. So I will leave a link, like a hyperlink down in the description. It'll be the top link of the description. You can go there to pre-save it. As more platforms become available, you'll be able to save it on those platforms. But as of right now, only Spotify is available for pre-save. But once it actually releases, or once it gets closer to release, it'll be available also on like Apple Music, on iTunes, on Amazon Music, on Pandora, iHeartRadio, like all that stuff. It'll be like on literally everything. Otherwise, besides that, things are still going good with the album. I spent a lot of yesterday mixing and mastering this thing. I still have a few songs that I gotta lay down some vocals for, but otherwise, instrumentally and just, you know, just when it comes to putting the whole thing together, it's coming together quite nicely at this point. I actually have like over half the album just actually done. So don't worry, like God forbid if something would happen to me, you know, there's still half the album that exists, so there could still be an EP or like a half album to be made out of it, you know? I get a bit of a posthumous release for me. This is so random, but I got so pissed off last night, dude. I poured myself a cup of peach tea and then I went to sit down with it. And like, look, man, I hate to admit this, but I dropped my new phone already. Yeah, I know. I gotta buy a case for it. Like, I'm so I sat down and I went to grab my tea and then it just like kind of slipped out of my hand. I was like, oh shit. And it wasn't a graceful fall. No, this was a fall where it spun, did a fucking 360, went on the walls. A few drips hit my Xbox and my PlayStation 3. I was like, no! I was like, fuck the floor, fuck everything else, my PS3. But everything's fine. It barely got touched. And then like I dropped my phone and it had a little bit of tea, like a few little tea sprinkles on the front, so I just wiped it down with like one of those electronic wipes, and my phone's okay, but I already chipped some of the paint on the sides. Like, I feel like such a dumbass, dude. I need to buy a case so bad. I'm not even gonna lie to you guys, the decision to put out another single so soon, it was a very spur of the moment kind of thing where I was like, okay, there's over almost 3 months until it releases. There's gonna be 15 songs on this album. 2 singles is a little weak. We'll do 3, maybe 4. And yeah, so I just had that moment last night. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna send it out. So I just uploaded it to my distributor and then, you know, send it out to like Spotify and Apple Music and all that. Because when it comes to my music, I've talked about this before, but I do all of it myself. The instrumentals, the vocals, the lyrics, the mixing, the mastering. Literally everything that you hear was done by me. The only part that I can't physically do is distribute it to Spotify and Apple Music because only like big labels can do that. So I have like my own label per se, it's G Records, but then I have to use like DistroKid to like help me distribute it to those platforms. I still got to go in there and customize my my Spotify page and all that, like go in there like, oh my god, these nuts, and change like my profile picture and all that and put like a cover picture up and all that. I know I was talking about it in one of the videos, I think, but I decided to make my first guitar solo for this album. And you know what, like I'm kind of scared to show early music because I don't ever want people to steal stuff, but at the same time I can always call back to this and be like, hey, I showed this before anybody else, so you know what, fuck it, I'll show you guys the solo that I wrote for the one song. It's not gonna be a single, I don't think. If it ends up being a single, then you'll hear it, but either way you'll hear it when the album comes out. But I'll go grab my guitar and plug it in quick. I don't know if my guitar's actually tuned, so we're just kind of winging this. kind of fucked up towards the end, but you know, that's the general gist of how it goes. I'll give you guys one more teaser. This is from a song called Happy Place on the album, and it's a very like basic progression, but it still sounds nice. I gotta remember like the entirety of how it goes. I'm probably gonna fuck this up because I can't remember all of it off the top of my head. That's how it goes, because it's a song all about like, you know, trying to find my happy place in this world, like literally and metaphorically, like trying to find my happy place up here and like a happy place that I can call home, like in the real world and whatnot. It's a pretty deep song, but the chords and like the notes of the song are just supposed to sound like happy, yet kind of like melancholic, you know, and that's why at the very end it goes up to here and it goes like, and then goes all the way back down, because it's sort of like you're riding the tension for the whole progression, and then at the end it kind of just like hits this point where it's like you feel like strangled in the highs of like your mental disorder, you know, where like, you know, if you have depression, you know how this is, or if you're like bipolar or whatever, where like you get these points where you're like really happy and it just feels so good, and it's just like you almost feel like strangled by how good it feels. That's what the high notes represent, because it's so like connected compared to everything else, and you just feel so whatever. And then you have the really hard drop off to the lowest notes of the entire progression at the end, and that's the fall off from the high, just kind of like sinking back into reality, and then it resets, and then you're back in the cycle. But anyway, that's enough guitar from me for now, and that's enough spoiling my album. You guys have heard like very little of it, and it's funny because like for me, right, because I've been working on this thing for so long now, you know, it's like it's all so fresh to me and it's so like real to me, but I always forget that you guys haven't heard like anything from it yet, aside from like one song and a few snippets of things that I've played off my guitar, and I'm just so excited for everybody to finally hear it in like a little over 2 months now. But anyways, yeah, I should probably go rest my voice, because again, I don't know what I did to it. I don't know if it's just because I've been using it too much lately, if it's because I've been experimenting with new vocal techniques, which I have been, you know, it could be a myriad of things, but you know, it is what it is. Just gotta go drink some water, relax. It could just be my allergies too, that's entirely possible. But anyways, yeah, I'll see you guys in tomorrow's video where we'll be back to, I think we're gonna finish up Mario tomorrow, so I'll see you guys back here for that. But anyway, as always, a massive shout out to the Patrons and channel members to get all of them in the low ballers here, and an even bigger shout out to the ball team and last king and dead main division. Thank you guys so much, guys. I love you. We arigatou gozaimasu. Have an amazing day, stay beautiful. I love you all. Peace.